What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum to keep up to date with the community debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. Shout out to Colin Turner for hitting the super chat during the break. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by the Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Paul, Jose, Earth Flattener, Eric, Deanne, Chocolate Sane, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
What's up?
Good morning. Gravity.
Good morning. Good morning. Talking of gravity, any scientific evidence of gravity, Jose?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity.
Go on, Jose.
Come on, come off mute. You know you're here
No
for
scientific evidence. No, I don't.
I may have some
at least he's being
presuppositional evidence, though.
Maybe that mustache proves gravity or negates gravity. I don't know.
defies gravity. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Yes.
Excellent. Tell us all about it, Jose.
99% of the footage that everybody presents, there's obstruction in the bottom that can be called curvature, and then there's some footage specifically with long structures built straight, and they show the curvature when it's compressed, and you zoom in and you see the curvature.
Sorry, you seem to flip between can be called and is. So, yeah, that was a bit of a ham-handed effort to go from obstruction being called curvature to people seeing curvature, Jose. So, did you miss the in-between bit?
No, yeah. In the actual, like, let's say in long structures, long bridge and stuff like that, you can see the actual structure. You see the curvature effect. You do see the curvature. Then the other ones are obstruction from the bottom up. That can be called curvature, but it could be another explanation. You know, I have seen other alternative explanations.
So there's two different versions of curvature, is what you're saying, Jose. There's obstruction from the bottom up, and there's also the effects of perspective, things rising up to the midpoint, but also simultaneously above the midpoint, they go down towards the midpoint as opposed to raise up. So you have the complete opposite, perfectly in line with perspective. So I'd say that the stuff that you've covered at the, I've forgotten what it's called now, Tensus Bayou, is that right?
Little Tensus Bayou.
So yeah, that's definitely not curvature. Obstruction from the bottom up is just that though, isn't it? It's not curvature either, it's obstruction from the bottom up. I mean, you can call it curvature, but I mean, I can call this pier a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena hologram of a pier. Now, you don't have to accept it, you can just say, well, no, that's just a pier. But I can demand that you accept that it's a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of a pier. Whether or not you choose to believe that is entirely up to you.
Understand, yeah.
Jose, if it's a curvature, what is curving? Water or solid ground?
Earth is spherical. It's
Yeah, but what's curving? The water or the land?
It's Earth, very, very big, and it curves.
Not that big though, is it? We know how big it is.
Come on, spit it out, Jose.
Yeah, roughly 25,000 miles circumference.
What's curving, Jose? water, or land?
It is spherical Earth, so everything is curving in a bigger scale.
Right. It's R-based straightness.
Well, that's not true either, though, is it? It's a testicle shape. It's completely uneven, and then fortunately the surface tension of the water conforming to the presupposed bullshit sphere makes it perfectly spherical to the eye in the bullshit pictures they present. But ultimately speaking, it's a spinning testicle, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
just easier to just use R.
And Jose made it pretty clear that he doesn't believe childish bullshit that water can curve or bend or take any shapes.
Water bending argument is childish, not the water bend, the water bending argument.
Same as the railways, right, Jose?
Train tracks, yeah, boom, that's perspective.
Yeah, those bendy train tracks that they all manufacture, they completely agree with your bendy water ideas.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Because that's how I see them being manufactured, through those like pipe benders. They bend the tracks to conform with the earth, don't they? Yeah, that's what they do.
All right, next.
Are we finished on housekeeping?
No.
We just begun.
Far from it, yeah. Any signs of axial rotation of the earth-based variety?
No axis found.
No.
It depends on what you define as Earth.
Define as what, sorry?
As Earth.
Where we're standing. We're
As
on it
in
right now.
Our realm, or only the matter, or
All of
do
it.
lights in the sky count?
Well, no,
All right.
I wouldn't have said so. Terra
Because it
firma.
is part of our realm, right? So
Well, that's your word that you put in there, though. I'd say Earth is Earth, right? The Earth bit, as opposed to the sky bit. The bit that's
okay,
earthy.
because I was
yeah,
going to
but
talk
if you
about this.
consider Earth as a realm, then that sky is also part of that realm.
That's
So
correct.
maybe
If
just
you,
a part of Earth is rotating, of which the full nature we do not totally understand yet. But yeah, when it comes to the actual matter part that we can prove, that's a lot tougher.
Because if we hypothesize that Earth is spherical, I'm not presupposing, I'm hypothesizing here, that Earth
Same
is
thing.
spherical, and we put a fiber optic gyroscope on Earth, something is moving at 15 degrees per hour, and it's not going to be the sky, because the gyro is not in the air, in the sky. The gyro is on the Earth, so that means Earth is moving. And when we look at the sky, we see the rotation poles moving at 15 degrees per hour. So yeah, I think the fiber optic gyro presents a movement of 15 degrees per hour.
that was the perfect formalization of that logical fallacy. Thank you very much, Jose. If the Earth is turning, yes, that's a presupposition, even if you reterm it, hypothesizing, or whatever the word you used was. Yeah, that would be your presupposition if the Earth is a spinning ball. Sorry, you don't have to like that, but that's your begging the question part of this begging the question, affirming the consequent, formalized by you logical fallacy. If the Earth is turning, your presupposition, then we will observe 15-degree rotation of a gyroscope. We do observe 15-degree in an optical gyroscope, therefore the Earth is turning. Formal, logical fallacy, attached to a begging the question fallacy. Thank you for formalising it so beautifully, though, Jose.
That was beautiful, yeah.
Jose, let me
I
ask you
think-
something.
Maybe the
Hold it.
argument is just spinning.
Jose, let me ask you something. Whilst I understand the claim by the ballers that Barb's proved the rotation of the Earth, let me ask that same point, but in a different way. If the Earth's rotating, that must be the cause for sunrise and sunset, because that's what we're told. Sunrise is the Earth going behind the curve, and it's caused by the Earth's rotation. That's what sunrise and sunset is. Why can't science prove it, and it's just Bob from Colorado that's able to do it? Why are there no other scientific experiments, observations, measurements, recordings of any kind that proves that the Earth spins? And it relies entirely on misrepresenting the Sagnac, Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gale, all those experiments, to the point where nobody understands what they're actually doing. Because if you've tried looking into the Michelson Morley, the Sagnac, and all these, what they do is they explain it in such a, I was going to use the word scientese in the context of legalese. When people write with legalese, but a lot of people don't understand what point's being made.
Science.
The experiments, sciences, yeah, because it's written in an old English language that's difficult to interpret at the best of times. And I speak English.
Nice.
But if you try and understand what they're actually trying to do, you can only read the conclusions. And the conclusions all state that the Earth is stationary. It's the ether that's moving above us. Yet the Baller's site, well, the ether's never been proven. Well, I don't think that's actually true. So what I'm going to ask is, rather than say, hey, Bob proved the rotation of the Earth, perhaps the question we should be asking is, why is it only Bob that's able to prove it when nobody else apart from Einstein, who uses a mathematical concept, is able to prove that the Earth spins when all the other experimentation appears to be presenting the case that it's the ether that's moving and obviously exists, and that shits all over their arguments.
That's a very interesting argument in your favor, yeah. And I encourage all the bowlers that do some homework and find more citations and more tests that have proven this rotation of the Earth, because I personally haven't researched it. This is the latest one that I have heard, and it actually makes sense to me. You know, I understand the argument about the gyro.
Really?
But
Did
others,
sorry,
they should
Jose. Sorry, did what I just say just
no
get,
gyro before?
sorry, did what I just say just get completely ignored, or what? So even though I've just pointed out that it's a logical fallacy, you still accept that that's a good argument, do you, Jose?
Yeah, because the thing is that the gyro is not in the air testing the
Who
movement of the
cares?
sky. The gyro
What
cares?
does it matter, Jose? Why would it matter if that fiber optic gyro would actually spin while a regular would not? What kind of sense would that make?
I'm not sure how gyros work. I know this one is more.
Well, it's very
elaborate
simple.
and
They
has
don't
more
spin
fine-tuned.
15 degrees an hour. It's only the fiber optic one that did that.
If you don't
Because
know
it's
how
not actually
gyros work,
physical based, it's light based. That's why it does that.
Sorry, we're describing a cause and effect relationship, right? An if and then. If we have rotating ether, or if your poison's different, if we have a rotating Earth. So you have the starting premise confirmed by the gyroscope. So if we have a rotating Earth, we will see a 15-degree deviation in a gyroscope. We see a 15-degree deviation in a gyroscope, so the Earth is turning. This is nothing more than a logical fallacy. No different to Foucault pendulum, no different to Cavendish balls, absolutely in no way proving something. If you want to prove the cause, then you need to science the shit out of it, not affirm the consequent. That's a logical fallacy. So if you want to establish that the cause of the gyroscope processing is the stars rotating, then there's a method that's useful for doing that. It would be called the scientific method. The only problem being, how are you going to isolate the independent variable of star rotation or Earth turn? Can you vary? Oh, Eleanor, you're keen to join in, aren't you? Can you vary and manipulate Earth turn or star turn? No. Of course not. So you're never going to have a scientific evidence that the Earth is turning or a scientific evidence that the ether is turning. All you'll ever have is a logical fallacy that draws you, the foolish people who understand or don't understand logical fallacy, to believe that a pendulum or a gyroscope or a set of bloody balls in a shed proves something to do with the Earth. It doesn't. Absolutely does not.
Yeah, I think that's why we need to stick to the ground, the curvature, how far we can see, just at our level here, not theorize about the sky,
Yeah, but the question is about axial rotation. How are we going to know axial rotation if we don't use any other point of reference of if we're moving or not? We got to look at something else. So the only thing to look at is up to the sky,
Yeah, I'll answer that, Jose. You can't, because the only way to observe the presupposed sphere Earth rotating would be to travel to a second law of thermodynamics violation known as the vacuum of space. Well, you can't travel to a second law of thermodynamics violation. They've made it up. So the only way to confirm this nonsense would be to actually observe it in Narnia. Well, we're not going to be going to Narnia to observe Earth rotating.
I think that's the perfect segue for the next housekeeping question about the space.
Any evidence of a gas pressure without a container?
0.
I think Anthony's up at this point with his video.
I'm being attacked by my dogs. Nathan's going to have to wing it. Nathan, the link's in the files in the thingy for Skype, so you can just play it. It's really, really good.
I don't mind waiting. We'll do it. We'll do it at the end of housekeeping when your dogs aren't attacking you.
It's 3:45. They normally get din-dins at 5 p.m. This is what they're asking for, din-dins. It's an hour and 15 minutes early.
Okay, we'll struggle on. Don't worry, we've got plenty of time on the show. We'll rattle our way through the rest of housekeeping before we come back to gas pressure without a container, which we've got a little treat for the live audience. So hold on to your hats. What about the evidence for the distance to the sun?
After yesterday, I'm not saying anything.
I say none of that one. It has to be very far away, because when I took a video a few months ago about on crepuscular rays, I could see before the sunrise, I could see the crepuscular rays coming in from a point, you know, just opening up. And then I saw to the other side, up 180 degrees behind me, where the sun is supposed to set, but the sun wasn't even rise yet. Where the sun was supposed to set, and the rays were anti-crepuscular, so they were converging to a point in the other side. And I put myself in the outside point of view, and I could picture the spherical Earth with the sun very far away, and the perspective, the rays coming from one side before the sunrise and coming from the other side where the sun is supposed to set.
Fascinating. How did you put yourself into another point of view? That's interesting.
So
how would you confirm that? Because as far as I know, with crepuscular rays, if you look at them coming through some clouds, and you ask your buddy a few miles away to look at those same clouds, those rays are not coming through those clouds you're looking at.
But in the same footage, we're coming crepuscular rays coming up, converging from one point coming up, and then diverging to another point 180 degrees from me in the same footage. So it was interesting to look at. Yeah. It's just a thought exercise. If I put myself in a third-person point of view,
yeah, but you can't. That's why are you just repeating it? Arwen's just taken that to pieces. So as you move around, yeah, to that third position, you get the same view. So the same thing happens with the sun. Exactly the same from that new position. You don't walk around the I can never say this word. Someone else is going to have to say it. Crepuscular rays.
Crepuscular.
You can't walk round them. So the only way to do it is to have an outer body experience, is it, Jose?
Yeah, that's a thought.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because you can't do that. As you move position, what happens in the sky changes, but relative to the sun and your position, you're seeing the same damn thing, just from a different position. You can't walk around the sun.
Yeah, but the question is, from that point, it just has to be very far away. How far? It could be, I don't know, 93 millions. It could be 3,000 miles up. Who knows? I really don't know.
I think this is a similar problem with whether we move or the ether, the stars move, as you can't really. I think the only way you could find out is if you travel to the sun and measure that distance, and otherwise it's just you're guessing, and we don't even know what it is. And how it,
this is where I'll reassert my assertion that the ballers simply don't understand or deliberately obfuscate what either one. You can't know the distance to the sun unless you know its actual size. You can't know its actual size unless you know its distance. So the angular size is a sum. It's not just a measurement. So you have to know 3 parts to the triangle to get the remaining parts to it. And we don't know its actual size, and we don't know its distance. The only thing we've got is its angles, and that angle is an infinite variable. You can get any size at any distance, and it can carry on continuously forever and ever and ever, amen. So unless you know its actual size, you're not getting its distance. Unless you know its distance, you're not getting its actual size, and we don't know any. So we have to try and do it with formulas, and then that's when it starts getting confusing, because people get blinded by mathematics, nonsense, rhetoric. It's gibberish. Prove the distance to the sun. Well, let's prove that it's a tangible object first. And I don't know how we can do that, because none of us have got the ability to do it. The best they've got is spectroscopy, astronomical spectroscopy. That's it.
It's not a good method at all.
No. What is it you're looking at? You have no idea what it is. They can't even agree whether it's a liquid, a gas, a solid, or some kind of metaphysical object. I tend to lean more towards it being metaphysical, because although it looks kind of physical at first glance, you realise that if it is actually physical, there's got to be something up there that it's sat in, because it can't just float around in nothing, as per their model. It's nonsense. And once you realise that space is basically bullshit the way they tell us to, then it makes you ask all the questions about everything that's up there. And what's the answer? Well, for me, it's it has to be, for me, it's the proof of creation, intelligent design of some kind. Maybe God, maybe Allah, who cares? My point is that it's clearly not the result of an explosion, a cosmic ejaculation. We didn't evolve from monkeys coming from an explosion.
And Allah is just an Arabic word for God. So
yeah, I'm just I'm contrasting it against any like religion. I don't care what your religion is. What I'm saying is it's clearly, obviously, some form of proof of creation, in my opinion. And these aren't these aren't planets that we can land rockets on. These are it's proof of creation.
Can we just call it a higher power?
We can just call it creation, and then you can interpret that word yourself. But it's clearly a construct that we can't explain. Yeah, we've got a model for it. Problems all over it. Some of it makes logical sense. A lot of it's got no evidence to prove any of it, but we'll accept it anyway. Or you can just say, well, maybe you can't prove it, and that's why it's proof of creation, and that's why it defies science.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Paul Voigt reckons he's got some of that, but he's not going to let us have it because he thinks that we're too stupid.
Damn.
we're too stupid to presuppose it.
Yep.
Last but not least, any evidence of the presupposition itself, the R value, Earth radius, gentlemen. Any evidence of that?
Amen. Level of retardedness in the globe heads, R value.
Question that ends the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator. Still a few zealots out there that still like to use it, but that's okay. In our you trust fundies. That concludes the housekeeping.
Unlucky boys and girls, without evidence to prove your assertions, we can apply Hitchens' razor and say that you can't prove your shit to be true, but we get taught it all in school as though it's true, don't we? We've all been indoctrinated with partisan politics because none of us knew that there was an alternative situation, which currently clearly exists and is being suppressed to all hell and back on YouTube because it's the only platform where we can all communicate successfully and actually be able to have a conversation. And now that this has arisen and YouTube's able to facilitate it, we're all being drowned out by all these dickhead ballers that think that they've got all the answers. Yeah, you might have some of the answers. You haven't got any of the evidence that supports it. Continuously claiming that gravity exists isn't proving that gravity exists. It's simply dogma.
Did you say there's an alternative explanation? How about showing me an alternative for the sunrise and sunsets and the rotation stars points?
Why?
So,
Why?
because he said there's an alternative and I would like to see it.
Well, hang on.
Well,
We
it's
did this
very
before,
simple.
Jose.
You just take away the presuppositions
No,
and
we don't have
confirm
to
the
make-
angular relations.
No. Stop.
you
We
can
don't need to make any assertions. We just need to point out that if the claim is sunrise and sunset is caused by Earth's turn, then we need to see proof that the Earth turns. What do you know? The whole body of science doesn't have any. So they have to make... Listen, if it was really the case that the Earth was turning, they wouldn't be using pendulums in glass museums or whatever to prove it. They would be proving Earth turn, and that's not what they're doing. They would be using things like gyroscopes to clearly prove that planes fly halfway around the world and are upside down when they get to the other place. They would be able to demonstrate that with gyroscopes, for example. There would be actual science proving Earth turn, Earth curve, and there isn't any. The best you guys can come up with is nonsense that's based on the pendulums and the gyroscopes and Foucault's gyroscopes, Foucault's pendulums, and they don't prove Earth turn. But everyone believes it, but it's the crappiest evidence ever, and it doesn't prove what they think it proves, but they'll accept it because the missing evidence that doesn't exist. They need a crappy evidence because they haven't got the real evidence that they need. The joke.
But what you're doing is questioning, denying, and talking points, but haven't presented an alternative that you say exists.
Yeah,
I don't
what I
think
want to
there's
see,
an
the
alternative.
alternative.
to
Let me
say
just
that
ask-
you call them-
hold on, Anthony. Let me just ask him again. Why, Jose? Why do I need to present anything? I can just pull my pants down and take a big shit on your religion. I don't need to give you anything. I can walk away and laugh at you. I don't need to give you a damn thing to point out where your religion is wrong. I can just point out that it's wrong. And when you say, oh no, my religion's wrong, what are you going to give me in return? Nothing. Zero. Nada. Zilch.
Back to the point, Riley, you have to be careful because you say there's an alternative. If you're not going to present one, you got to take that phrase out of your presentation, okay?
No, there
Of
are
course there's an
alternative
alternative.
explanations.
Of course there's an alternative. Do I have to give you a just so story to replace the current broken one? No. There's an alternative though. He's correct. Yes, there is absolutely an alternative.
Let me take a little look.
Okay, knock yourself out, Jose. Be my guest. You present it to us. Do you accept that the current bullshit's wrong? It's not Earth turn causing the sun to rise. Because if you don't, why are you asking me to give you an alternative? You already believe the thing we've demolished. So get past that first. Then maybe you would like to do that little bit of exploration rather than relying on us to do it for you.
I can give you a hint though.
Owen can tell
I'll
you.
take the loss.
Owen will be your priest.
It's the ether rotation that's causing the sun to turn.
I'll take the loss, but I want to recap that Riley said there was an alternative and he hasn't presented one. Okay.
Yeah, there are alternative explanations for what we see going on. Now, whether you want to apply that to Earth turn and sunrise and sunset, be my guest. But here's the thing. I make no assertions and I'm careful with words I use. Yeah, I argue it's flat to contrast that it's not a ball. But I realise that if I make claims that are like demonstrable or not demonstrable and I've got to try and prove it, that burden, that evidential burden falls both ways. But yours falls and you guys ignore that it's a problem. But when it's me that makes the assertion, all of a sudden it becomes a problem if I don't have supporting evidence, right? That's why I don't necessarily argue too strongly that it's clearly flat, because I know I've got to prove it. But you guys can't prove that the Earth's turning, yet you guys expect me to come up with proof that it's not, which is actually it's a negative. Well, there's plenty of evidence that indicates that it's not. Gyroscopes, for example, don't do anything. They should do, because they should fly around a curve. They don't do anything. It infers that we're not moving. And we all understand that, Jose, but you're the one that claims it's curve rotating. So you're the one that's got the burden to prove it. So yeah, you can pick me up on my claim that there are alternative explanations, but show me the proof that we're turning first.
I don't have it.
Jose already admitted that he doesn't know how gyroscopes work. He's just accepting what they're telling him.
I'll just give you an example, right? Because this is going out on... What channel are we on now? Nathan Oakley channel. So if you're watching this live on this channel, which is on Thursday, but this, if you're watching it on Saturday, isn't relevant. I'll lose my point if I carry on talking about which bloody channel we're on. But an example of this is going out on the Nathan Oakley channel on some of the year-old repeats. And what occurs is Anthony presents, I'm going to say a claim, that Google has his height on a cliff at St. Bees at 35 feet. Now, that is quite clear and easy to back as a claim. The claim being, here's what Google Earth says the height of this cliff is. Now, off the back of that, that claim, in inverted commas, was challenged. Anthony became the purveyor of that measurement. It wasn't even his claim to begin with, but the fact that he's made an assertion, the assertion being Google says it's this height, and it absolutely does, easy to verify, that was challenged to the nth degree. Like Anthony was the guy putting that measurement into Google Earth, the model at the time that we were testing. So if you make any claims, even if they're not actually your claim, you'll have people jump on them and demand that you prove a claim that in that instance you're not even making. Anthony wasn't claiming he was at 35 feet. It was Google's measurement for the exact location, but that was used against him even though it wasn't actually his claim. He even made it clear on the video that's had over 100,000 views now. Google Earth says this is 35 feet. Couldn't be any more clear. That was still used against him. So why would I or anybody else say, oh yeah, I'll tell you what that big ball of fire in the sky you think is a balling, fiery, gassy thing 90 billion miles away or whatever they claim it is. You know, I'll tell you what I think it is. I'll come up with a just so story so you can strawman the living daylights out of me and claim that it is a burning ball of gas when you demolish my assertions that I don't need to make. I can just, like I say, pull down my trousers, take a big dump on your religion, your belief about the distance to it, and where you've got that conclusion from, We can point out all of the history that goes behind that claim and where it's bollocks. Well, I don't need to do anything more than that. Just point out that it's nonsense. And if that leaves you in a state of disarray, oh, wow, that's terrible. Yeah, we all went through it too, unfortunately. Yeah, we realised that we'd been lied to on a massive scale by charlatans who've punted a religion onto us. A religion, a sky vacuum religion with priests floating around in a second law of thermodynamics violation. Well, we don't buy it anymore, and I don't care if anybody says, oh, you've not given me an alternative. I don't care. I don't need to. Why do I need to tell you? If you realise I'm correct in the sky vacuum being bollocks, then go out and try and figure out what the hell it is for yourself. And if you can't cope with that, that's not my problem.
All right, 10-4. 10-4, I wrote that.
He who asserts must prove. We make no assertions other than you guys have got no evidence to support your claim, or indeed evidence to prove your claim, because you can't have gas pressure without a container. Well, we have gas pressure, so where is container?
I really want to see a little bit of the red rhetorics. I missed that. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, that's what happens when you start wiggling, isn't it, Jose? Change the topic, quick!
Quick, get someone else in this net so you can kick them.
Come on, Nathan, play the file.
I haven't even downloaded it. Can't you play it?
Perhaps. I did this for you. Alright, so screen share. Where is it?
Let
me remember where I put it.
Oh, there we go. Taking that out. So just to give people a bit of backstory while Anthony's figuring out this screen sharing and stuff. About 2 or 3 days ago, Anthony got in touch and said, Red Rhetoric's released a video. Have you seen it? He's claiming to approve the vacuum of space. And I said, no, I don't watch Red Rhetoric. I haven't got a clue. Later, minutes later, he's deleted it, was the message I got from Anthony, which immediately made me want to see it. Same with Flat Earth at the moment. If you censor something, people will want to rebel against it. Quickest way to get something to #1 is to ban it on the radio. Anyway, so then I was keen to see it, and off the back of that, Chocolate has said that he knew somebody who had done a commentary on it while it was going out live or whatever. So we've managed to scrap together a copy of it, and hopefully Anthony, if he's been bought enough time, will be able to present that to you, and we can discuss some of the logical fallacies at play.
I do have it. So what you've got to understand is the context here is begging the question in the first place, right? Nobody argues that there is a density gradient, right? We understand that as you go higher, the density changes, it gets less. But these guys call this pressure. Now, pressure is caused by the density. That is the reason for it. But it has to have a container to push against to create the pressure. But what we're saying is that, well, where's the container? So whilst he's on about this now, he literally bums this rocket so much that he loses track of what is actually the claim. The claim is that a gas pressure can exist next to a vacuum, and this is what he's trying to address. And I say, no. Now, for some reason, it's particularly blurred from the original download. It's almost as if he's trying to evade the copyright thing by changing it so that you can't see it. I can't even see where the files come from. I can't read the name on it. But anyway, we'll go through it, and I'll just stop it periodically. So he's at the point where the rocket's really high, and basically he's arguing about the density gradient changing. I'm all right with that. So let's pick it up from the he's getting into the thinner air bit.
Coriolis effect.
So even though it is dark outside, sun is just not hitting the surface. There's actually sunlight streaming overhead right now.
So Reds reckons that the sunlight streaming overhead now. Does anybody see any evidence of sunlight streaming overhead right now?
No.
No, I don't see any evidence either, because we know what happens when you have sunlight at night time, or any other light for that matter. You see the casting of the light. I don't know why he says this. It seems nonsensical, but anyway, let's carry on.
Hold on. Let me interrupt in typical Arwinian fashion. Look, when the sun goes down, and I get a clear view from here, not right now because it's very cloudy, but for example, yesterday, sun goes down, goes out of sight, I will still see it actually hitting the clouds above me, even though everything on the ground, including the trees, will not have sunlight hitting it. So it's a little bit mysterious in that sense.
Right, let's just conclude it more concisely, right? There's no sunlight in this picture apart from the little rocket.
I'm going to say that was just an aside to the gas pressure without a container issue overall, Arwin, so fair enough, but yeah.
Right, so this is the meat of his point here, so let's listen to this bit.
That's a killer.
Into the sunlight, which shows us what happens to the gas as it gets higher and higher and higher in altitude. There it is. This is a rocket going into the sunlight. Now, where is a staging event?
He's claiming that rocket's going into the sunlight. How the hell does he know that? I don't know how he knows that. That could be going just through a different layer of gas that happens to be combusting in some way with the combustion coming out of the tailpipe. He doesn't know that it's going into the direct sunlight. I don't know how he concludes that point.
Combusting? No.
It's conjecture. There's no evidence that that's what's happening there. You can interpret it that way, sure, but it doesn't mean...
It's already combusted. That's not going to combust. He may actually have a point. It's not over with anyway, but...
Anyway, I'm yet to hear his proof of gas pressure without a container, so let's move on.
There's MECO, which means main engine cutoff. There's separation. And right here is second stage ignition.
He just described the flat Earth.
Now notice, as the rocket gets higher and higher and higher in altitude, the gases being expelled out of the ass end of the rocket get wider and wider and wider. And as you just accepted, a packet of gas in vacuum will start to expand in all directions.
Can I do this in just a second?
Nice.
Well, it will expand no matter what. It will expand within the atmosphere.
I just want to take it apart in a few seconds. That expanding of the gas is just when the next stage is kicking in. So there's the secondary propulsion starting. So it's just in between two pieces of metal. That's why it's going sideways. You can see it on every freaking rocket launch.
Right.
Bullshit.
And even then, to claim that it is a vacuum is it doesn't need to be. It can just be the lower gas pressure. It's still going to do it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So let's not forget what the current science is for the moon, right? The Earth's atmosphere goes all the way up to the moon. So however far away the moon is, we have to remember that there's no way he's getting into a vacuum until he gets beyond the moon, right? And we know he's not beyond the moon because he's still in Earth's orbit and the model. But let's just hear what he says now.
Oh, I said
Wait, I agreed with that. Wait, well, can somebody explain to me what the dot is?
Hang on.
What's the dot?
This rocket did not have to go through any
What's the UFO behind it?
in order to experience that transition.
What part of the rocket is the UFO dot behind it?
You can see that the gas becomes visible.
We won't talk about that.
Damn near invisible, not until you actually get to the source of the expelling gas, which is the rocket itself. This shows that a rocket went into vacuum with no barrier.
So he's claiming
just low gas pressure.
He's claiming that the rocket went into a vacuum with no gas pressure, no barrier. Well, we know that either Reds has got it wrong because he's not beyond the moon, because the moon's within the Earth's atmosphere according to current science, or how the hell does he know where the divide between the two lines are? Where is the point where? Well, where's the Kármán line in this instance, right? How do you know what is the point?
Who gives a shit about that? No. So let me get it straight. So the rocket can go into the vacuum, but the gas that it's just travelled through, that stays here. Well, no, that's the second law of thermodynamics violation, Red Rhetoric, you moron. So why would the gas not be expanding into the vacuum also at a rapid rate, in line with the second law of thermodynamics? If the matter that is the rocket can escape, then so can the gas. But it doesn't. Does it magically know where that rocket is right now to stay where it is? Where it transitioned?
Yes.
Does that gas just know not to go any further? I don't think so.
Yeah, the whole idea of rocket propulsion in a vacuum is preposterous. Preposterous.
It's
It
just
doesn't
gonna
work.
spin wildly.
No, not even spin. You will not get propulsion because you will
Right.
not be able to build up pressure because the design of the rocket engine nozzle is there to build the pressure against the gas of, let's say, atmosphere. Once
That's
it's gone, the pressure will be neutralized immediately, violently, as soon as it builds even a little bit. So the rocket will not get any propulsion forward.
Indeed, but it will get some rotation momentum, so it will
Yeah.
spin wildly in place. That can be
Perhaps.
even demonstrated in a vacuum chamber.
Yeah, the very shape of a nose of the rocket allows it to remain straight within the gas as it travels through the gas. As soon as it doesn't have that, there's nothing to correct the course of the rocket.
And have in mind that without oxygen, there is no combustion.
Well, they battle that with oxidizers being on board the rocket ship, right?
Yeah, the oxygen is part of the rocket fuel itself. So.
Sure, but we're now into this argument about rockets in space. The reality being that whoever's filming this footage, Red Rhetoric or somebody else, TV, it doesn't matter, they're pointing their camera at the sky and claiming that a rocket is going into a vacuum. But yet the very gas they're breathing seems to magically stay somewhere in his field of view. So between this rocket and where he's standing, the cameraman, there's gas. He's breathing it. But somehow that light has traversed into the vacuum and the gas stays where it is. No. If it had gone into a vacuum, which it absolutely isn't because that's total nonsense, then the gas would also go with it. It would expand in all directions into the vacuum and dissipate to fill the infinite expanding space. Net result, we wouldn't be breathing. So no, it's not travelling into a vacuum. It's a second law of thermodynamics violation. Wherever it's going, it's definitely not travelling into a vacuum of space, because if it was, we'd all be dead.
Unless there was a gravity barrier to stop it.
No barriers.
We don't know.
Again, no need to speculate. All I need to do is say that he's looking up at the sky and claiming it's a vacuum. Well, the gas would fill the space. The fact that it doesn't means it isn't. Space is fake. Outer space is fake. The vacuum of outer space is fake. So he might say that it's gone into a vacuum. Well, Red's word's not good enough, because it's a second law of thermodynamics violation, and the gas he's looking through would absolutely disperse into that lower pressure system he's claiming the rocket's going into.
Is there a chance if you stare for long enough in the sky, the vacuum will suck your eyeballs out?
It wouldn't suck your eyeballs out. Apparently, that's the wrong terminology to use. The pressure within your eyeballs would be pushing the eyeball from the bottom end, and because you've got a gap at the front where your eyelids are, that's the place that it can go. So, in theory, if there's a pressure in your eye, then it should burst your eyeballs out from the behind. Not being sucked out from, but I prefer the sucked out. I know it's technically not correct, but it sounds better to have your eyeballs sucked out of your head. It sounds great.
Yeah, I just wanted to be more.
It's a matter of perspective. Like vacuum doesn't actually suck; it's the gas that pushes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sucking,
It sucks big time.
Vacuum doesn't suck. It's not. It isn't anything. It's the missing of something. It is the gas that actually pushes.
Yeah, but when we say sucking, we're implying exactly the same mechanics.
I know. So it's a cultural thing. Because technically, vacuum doesn't suck. Right? Gas pushes.
Then nothing sucked, and the sucking should be banished from the vocabulary. Right?
Well, yeah, in some way you're right. I mean, when you use a vacuum cleaner, what's happening is the expelling of the air from the chamber of the vacuum forces the atmospheric pressure to push the dust into the vacated space, the vacuum itself. Well, that's not sucking up the dirt. It's the atmospheric pressure pushing the dirt into the vacated space.
Yeah, but we're calling it sucking. So
I know. You're right. You know, I can't disagree. We call that sucking, right? Yeah.
So therefore, vacuum sucks in the colloquial, colloquial terms.
Yeah, but we are in this pedantic arena of flat Earth
I
debate.
know. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah, sucking is more like a mechanical process, a mechanical action, while the actual material itself, it only pushes.
Yeah, we call it. We basically call that we give the phenomenon a name, process name.
So yes, for average Johnny Normal, the gas would be sucked into space, or for somebody who is a bit more pedantic, the pressure of the energized particles that are the gas pressure would expand in all directions, and if there's nothing to stop them expanding, then they will carry on expanding at a rapid rate until they fill said space. So if that sky is a vacuum, then the gas would fill that space, because there's nothing stopping it expanding in all directions. Now if there's no barrier, and rockets can traverse into the vacuum, then so can the gas. It's not magic. It doesn't know, oh, I'll stop here. I've got thin enough now. I'll stop. No. In order to be pressure, it has to press on something.
Can I describe this for kids? Let's say they're on a football pitch and there's one team of 11 players on one side of the middle line, the starting line. I don't know how they call it, middle line. And then there's just two guys on the opposite team on the other side, and 11 guys are trying to pass the line. How will two guys stop them? That's what I explained earlier to Jose with the street thing with the 10,000 people trying to stop by.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hey VS, how you doing? Can you hear us? You've got your watch page playing by the sounds. Can you hear us, VS? Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello. You need to mute your watch page. Bear with him, guys. I think he is trying to sort his mic issues out, as opposed to trying to snipe us. Oh, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
Too late.
Sorry,
Should I
Dion. You
remove
carry
him,
on, my
or-
bad.
He left. Should I remove him from the back panel? Or?
No, leave him in case he joins again with technical issues. He'd have already sniped somebody out if he was a sniper.
Okay.
You carry on, Dion. My bad.
Yeah, I just brought out the example that I gave to Jose earlier about 1,000 people walking down the street and trying to get to the government building, and there's just 4 guys there trying to stop them. This is the atmosphere, the 10,000 people. So it's too many people against just 4. So those 4 people won't be able to contain those 10,000 people along a line. They'll just progress. That's like the presupposed just few molecules in outer vacuum bullshit space trying to push down on the atmosphere.
Almost a great analogy, other than there's literally no men trying to stop the people from escaping. Just an empty, barrierless, free zone that they can, empty into without any restriction whatsoever. Open system. No fence, no men, no nothing stopping them. Just the ability to expand in all directions and fill the space available to them. But according to these zealots, these fundies, they think that magical gas is happening. It gets thinner and then stops needing the antecedent of a container to press upon in order to be pressure. It just magically stops. Just becomes a vacuum. No. Second law of thermodynamics violation. Hey Ranty, how you doing?
You just don't understand entropy, Nathan. You just don't understand.
Nathan,
that is entropy.
You just don't understand it.
That is entropy.
Remember that.
Sorry, Nathan. The flat earther who had the debate with Reds, who provided the video for us. His name is Space is Fake. He's pretty cool flat earther, and he wanted to get a shout out for providing us with this video because Reds apparently took it off his channel and won't play it. So he wanted a little bit of a shout out from you.
Yeah, sure. Space is Fake. If you can hear us in the chat, post your link to that video. I will approve it so people can go and subscribe to you. But big shout out to Space is Fake. I did see him say something in the chat. I didn't appreciate what that meant, but now I do. So, yeah, feel free to spam your link, or Ranty's done it for you. Unless Ranty's spamming his own link. Is that for you, Ranty?
Yes.
It could be the Mad channel. Who knows?
I knew it. I knew it.
Ranty's stupid.
Well, I don't mind plugging Ranty either. So yeah, go and subscribe to Ranty Flat Earth. Definitely a good channel to subscribe to.
Don't subscribe to Ranty Flat Earth. He's getting too many subs. I introduced Ranty. Come and sub to me instead.
Shout out to Ranty for providing great globe proofs in all his videos. Thank you, Ranty.
Ooh, shout out to great Flat Earth.
Jose, you've gone full circle, haven't you now, mate? Totally.
Gone full sphere.
Those turbines that you show, oh my god, behind the curve, beautiful.
Yeah, you don't understand perspective, do you, mate? And compression. You don't know how
I
it
understand
works.
perspective. I used to study perspective when I was a kid in school for many, many years. I understand
bet you
lights and shadows and perspective.
I bet you didn't.
I was good.
Did you actually study perspective in school?
I did. They didn't teach me any equations for perspective, but the drawing part, lights and shadows, I learned really good.
You're getting
Sorry, hold on. Someone's causing feedback. Can you all close your mics if you're not on? If you're
It's
not
Sleeping
talking?
Warrior.
Anyway, it's because I've got my thingy open. Let's carry on.
Don't open your thingy up during a hangout.
Arwin.
Show a vacuum at all. It showed a colder, low pressure area. Didn't show a vacuum.
Into what? Until what happens? Until it fills the container.
You can't mute him while he's playing something, Paul. You've just been muted, Anthony. Very funny. He probably can't hear me telling him he's been muted because he's got the video playing.
Oh, well, I thought he said carry on and it was kept going and everybody was talking, so that's why.
No, he meant carry on with the with critiquing Red's rhetoric.
Sorry, we didn't miss anything. He hasn't made any points. They're just laughing at him. Anyway, let's carry on.
Riley, if you want to laugh though, there is a part where he tries to, because Space is Fake was asking him how is the ISS up there and how can it deal with temperature. If you want to really laugh, find that part where he tries to defend how the ISS can deal with temperature changes. Trust me, his explanation is hilarious.
We can get through this because this is taking a while. Right.
That's CFC Bear for the super chat. Says thanks for the stream, Nathan. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for the super chat. Go ahead, Anthony.
A container is present. Yes.
Sean doesn't know that though.
With the vacuum of space.
He's calling this a vacuum at this altitude. Sean's not aware enough to call him on it.
Here at this altitude. As the rocket goes on, it expands this much. Notice
I think Sean was a bit drunk last night, though, wasn't he? So he's doing well for a drunk person.
Here and here. This is a rocket going smoke right now. This is a rocket going into a lower atmospheric pressure without...
Yeah, Sean's at least winning at life, you know?
And they kept muting him, apparently. So.
Not proving that
you have to.
My argument is that it doesn't even leave the atmosphere.
But Reds did change what he just said to a lower pressure.
Hang on. I have one more piece of evidence to show you. All right. Jared, will you be able to share my screen one more time?
You know what? You can go fuck yourself, Red. Do it yourself.
You tell
All right, perfect. Give me a few seconds. Okay, there we go. All right, I am screen sharing in 3, 2, 1. All right, you guys should see my screen right now.
Dude, we're hearing your conversation over this.
This is an Atlas V 551. It is a rocket with 5 solid rocket boosters and is badass as fuck. As this rocket gets higher and higher and higher, it will again go into a lumosity transfer. Right here. Now, same argument. Now I'm showing you more than one observation. So this observation, you can see it, but this one does it in a little bit better way because lumosity transfer in this rocket happens at a lower altitude. So you can actually see less atmosphere, less atmosphere, less atmosphere, much less atmosphere, way much less atmosphere. Practical vacuum, definite vacuum.
No.
Okay, or look at the fact that there's a gradient of the layers of air all the way until we get up that high. Yes, there is a gradient. That gradient gets lower and lower and lower until eventually you practically don't have anything at all.
Yeah, I understand that. And that can happen in both models.
Oh boy, here we go.
I have a couple of questions that may help.
So that's basically the gist of it, right? It does continue a little bit more, but what he's saying is that as it goes higher and higher and higher, the pressure gets less and less and less. And this luminosity transfer thing that he was talking about, while he's got this bit on screen, let's see if I can get it back on screen. I don't know about you guys, but it looks to me like he's going through liquid when it goes through here. I'm not saying it is liquid, but it don't, to me, it doesn't look like a gas. So just what do you guys think? Would anybody disagree, and how strongly, if I suggested that perhaps this actually wasn't a gas at all? Perhaps this was actually a liquid that they're describing as a luminosity transfer? Because it just looks like looks like the wake on the back of a speedboat when it goes through the water. Doesn't look like it's
you're welcome to discuss that at whatever length you see fit, but ultimately speaking, who cares? He's declaring, as whilst looking up at the sky, that is now a vacuum, based on his declaration only. So he's just declaring that there's a second law of violation in front of his very eyes. Well, no. If it's moving into a vacuum, according to Red, then so can the gas. And we'd all be dead. So it doesn't make any difference that Red has declared it whilst playing a video of a rocket.
He did change his position, and they pointed it out. He said that it was a lower pressure volume, a lower pressure state, and then they pointed out that he did change his position. But it doesn't change the fact. Again, this is all still begging the question. The question that we're asking is, how can you have the gas pressure without a container? We're not interested in the rockets bit. That comes afterwards. Let's just establish how we have the pressure. And we all know that if it's gravity, then that's a mathematical construct. And if it's something to do with the sun, it's lovely, but how are we going to prove it? What is gravity? That's the question we're asking. So all this is lovely begging the question nonsense, but it doesn't matter because it's not addressing the question asked. That's all we need, really.
Question is why he did not upload this video on his channel. It's a little odd.
Gravity is just misunderstood.
Shout out to Brendan for the super chat, and I think with that I will actually say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the live audience in the Nathan Oakley channel for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, then stay tuned as there will be an extended after show to follow. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and join the community forum to keep up to date with the community flat earth debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!